Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to Victor Henry. Good to see you again. It's been a long time since we did an interview. A lot's changed since then. Probably not you, though. You know, you're still absolutely crushing it. How has everything been for you? Because I remember seeing your name come up. I was like, yes, Victor's in the UFC. That's exciting. And then the fight was cancelled twice. I just went back before the interview and read, some of the media predictions, and it was like, it'll be a tough fight for Rowney, but he should probably cruise this. And then I saw you address that in the post-fight, which I thought was brilliant because, you nailed it. You did everything that you thought you were going to do. So how is it now looking back on how everything transpired?
You know what, man? I mean, everything turned out the way I thought it was. I knew that once I got on the UFC stage, that everybody would come pouring in as far as followers and support. But up until then, I had to fight the wave of doubters. After the first fight got canceled in December, there was no actual validity to the January 15th fight. That was a rumor that someone had started somewhere, and then every MMA outlets just ran with it. So there was no validity to that. Sean Shelby or the UFC didn't reach out to me for it. So I was just like, why? I would even ask people like, oh yeah, like because they wanted to interview me about the 15th, and I was like, well, what fight? And they were like, you versus Honey, and I was like, according to who? Well, according to this one website. I was like, this one website who's not the UFC, like, don't you think you should contact the body that would be hosting the fight? But no, this fight wasn't actually even guaranteed. So after the first fight was canceled in December, I didn't know who I was gonna fight. I didn't know if it was gonna be against Haoni, because as far as I was concerned, they were looking for an opponent for Haoni as soon as possible, because I mean, other than him having his fight canceled and then me stepping up to fill those shoes, they were looking for an opponent for him. They weren't looking for an opponent for me. So he was the one that they were scrambling for. So eventually it came down to it, January 22nd, and they wanted to rebook me. And, of course I said, yeah. But again, getting back to it, I mean, like I said, I told everybody, like the amount of fights that I've had, the experience I've with fighting around the world, fighting a lot of top guys around the world, it wasn't surprising to me. I mean, everybody's going to try to punch your face in no matter who you fight. So, going up against Haoni, which 50% of his wins come by knockout or TKO. So it's like, yeah, like that's a dangerous opponent. So going in there, getting the win against him, and finally getting my name on the main stage, I knew it was all going to be pouring in. So I had to keep myself humble, keep myself going to the gym, cleaning the mats, cleaning up the all the tape that everybody leaves behind. That way I can continue doing what I've been doing.
You seemed, I think it was a couple of years ago at least that I interviewed you. You were fighting around Asia, and were you content? You seemed pretty reconciled with the UFC thing not happening, and if it didn't happen, you'd be happy doing what you're doing. You're winning belts, winning fights around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Were you reconciled with the fact that it wasn't going to happen?
No, I mean, in my eyes, that the UFC was going to come eventually. It was what I came to terms with is that my road is not going to be the same as everybody else's. I think it's a mistake for a lot where they want to fight for one organization, so their goal becomes that organization. So they try super hard, or they put in the hours, they put in all this time just to fight for that one organization or that one goal. But in my mind, you have to set your goals higher than that. Like for me, it's always been about being the best martial artist that I can be, and fighting the best that I can get to. And now it seems that the UFC has a roster of great fighters that of course they all need fights and they all want to fight, and those are arguably the top guys in the world. So now that I'm in the UFC was those guys that were the goal. So what do I got to do? I got to keep training. That way I can fight those guys, beat those guys, and be the best that I could be.
What does the win do for you? Because, there's been some love for the win. You said, you want to run at this. So are you thinking about being smart? I mean, to a degree which you can choose what's next for you, somebody ranked decently, a big name like Sean O'Malley, or what are you looking at?
You know what? You're right. I've got a few runs in me, and it doesn't matter who the opponent is. I'm here, and the UFC knows it, and so does the world now. So, I can see the UFC going two directions. Hopefully they want to, they want to, they want to market my name and everything. But maybe they just want to give me the super hard road too. And hey, I'm okay with that. It's all the same. Somebody's gonna try to sock you in the face, and it's just the hard work is. It doesn't begin now. It started a long time ago, but definitely now there's no time to rest. There's only time to get to work and go out there and start proving everybody wrong again.
Is there any element of not being here for a long time, being here for a good time? Is there anybody who you look up to that you'd love to fight? The Dominic Cruzes, the Jose Aldos?
Hey, as long as your name is in the top 10, of course, I want to crack at it, because we're all here for that belt. If you're not here for that belt, then you're wasting your time.
You got a bit of love from Joe Rogan as well. Any thoughts to go on his podcast? I mean, you've seen what that does for people, and that just leads to bigger matchups, right?
Yeah, I mean, Joe Rogan, I mean, that would be awesome. I mean, that especially with all the flack that he's getting right now about his stances on things. But I think as a fighter, just to be able to go onto a talk show like that, where everybody's basically got their eyes on it, whether it be, I forget who said it, but any press is good press. Even if it's bad publicity, it's, you got eyeballs on you. You're looking at it, and people are going to tune in just because it's Joe Rogan. It'll be me just so happen to be there, but it is what it is, And of course, I'd like to. I don't know if Joe Rogan wants to talk about cartoons and food for 2 hours, but hey, I'm with it.
Do you think catch wrestling is the most effective style in MMA?
Yes and no. I mean, catch wrestling is an all-encompassing style. Like there's a style of rough and tumble and the things that our ancestors used to do just to pass the time. When we were all farmers and stuff. But catch wrestling doesn't exactly have a boxing pedigree that people would know about. But if you do your research, you would see that Billy Robinson, was throwing hands. He had quite a boxing pedigree. Maybe not in boxing rings, but he was in there and he was competing against people, and sometimes hands were involved. Catch wrestling has a reputation, but there's only a few people that reputation along with catch wrestling. And of course, like my coach Josh Barnett, you got Sakuraba, a few guys like that, where it's like, oh, those are the greats, but those are the only ones. Where it's like, no, well, they got students now. It's crazy to see how catch wrestling is coming along, especially inside the jiu-jitsu community, where catch wrestling has been doing leg locks for years and years and years, and all of a sudden the jiu-jitsu community comes along and they start adopting leg locks. And then there was the Danaher Death Squad, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, leg locks are everywhere. So it's like, it's almost a new phase, and it's been like that for a couple of years now. But it's getting so hyper specialized that people are forgetting the other aspects of grappling, and it's just it's crazy to see the waves of how grappling arts and everything come in, because eventually somebody's going to shut down the leg lock game, and it's going to come around all over again, and we're going to see a bunch of people stalling again and going for things that aren't really popular, and then it's just going to continue.
Over the pandemic, we saw the Rizin bantamweight Grand Prix. Ougikubo won. Were you watching that from afar? Were you gutted that you couldn't compete in that? Was that ever on the cards because they didn't have any foreign fighters, right? Because it's hard to go over and compete there.
Yeah. So first of all, Ougikubo, he surprised the hell out of me. Especially after his his first fight with Kaya Sakura, you know, and how can I say this? The manner of which Kai dealt with Ougikubo the first time, I was like, well, it's gonna be, let's see how he can adjust to that, and he adjusted beautifully. And then going up against winning winning the whole damn thing, you know. So congratulations to him and getting himself a wife, you know, in his proposal there. So of course I was upset I couldn't compete in that, you know, especially with the world being the way it is right now. But you know, there's only so much you can do. That's why I said I knew my road was gonna be different than everybody else. It's like, here I am in the United States. I can't go compete over there. At the time, I wasn't signed with the UFC, and it's like, well, what can I do? But well, okay, well, what can I do? Anything I can do. So just get to work, and that's when I ended up getting that LXF fight, fighting a UFC vet, and you know, just staying busy. With that staying busy attitude, I was able to actually get this fight going.
You seem to have a little bit of a love affair with Japan in your career. Is the plan, you know, to get a UFC belt right up into the sunset, or actually would you love to finish in Japan? You know, Rizin's, the relationship still good. Would you love to go there and get a belt and that be kind of the last thing you do in this sport, competing?
You know what? I wanna continue to compete even after I'm done fighting. You know, with grappling tournaments, and you know, even like triathlons, or you know, just staying physical. You know, I tell people all the time that, well, especially in the gym, that we don't stop because we get old. You know, we get old because we stop. You know, maybe we can't keep fighting the same, but we can still do grappling tournaments. Or, you know, even when if I'm in my 40s or 50s, like one of my coaches is in his 60s, and arguably he's got better cardio than me. People are saying, "Oh man, you got crazy cardio." It's like, no, you should see my coach. You know, like my coach Jamal has got insane cardio, and he's a coach. Like he's not in there competing anymore, and here he is. I'm on the pads with him, and I'm tired. And I'm, of course, Ben, he's still bouncing around, holding them mitts, and I'm just like, bro, he's like, you're almost 70 years old. Like, how do you have this kind of cardio? So, you know, that is, and especially, you know, you see older people, they, oh, my knees hurt, this hurts, that hurts. It's like, well, yeah, like, yeah, I get it. Aches and pains are going to come, and they're going to be there. But, you know, what about just working and doing what you can and staying young through martial arts?
You're a California guy, right? Were the Diaz brothers an inspiration for you at all coming up? Because they were smashing triathlons, and everyone was like, whoa, when they saw the cardio in the octagon.
I mean, the Diaz brothers, they're, of course, they are part of my my fandom. You know, like I grew up watching them, especially uh, you know, Nick in the in Strike Force, and then of course his debut in the UFC. Watching Nate come up in the UFC. You know, those are some Stockton boys. They're up in Northern California. I grew up in Southern California. We got a different set of different inspirations down here, but you know, seeing how they're always competing in something. It's no wonder that they have that constant competing attitude. You know, it's like, yeah, if they're not fighting, they're doing something else. You know, but it's a matter of staying busy, staying active, staying in the competition mindset.
Right now, everyone's saying bantamweight, probably the best division in the world. We talked about Rizin, you know, Bellator 1, they've got amazing bantamweights. We've got Yan fighting Sterling. You know, who do you think is going to win that? And who do you think is just the best in the world right now at 135?
Ooh, Petr Yan, of course, is the best in the world. He's proved that. You know, he's actually the training partner of the person who beat me last. You know, Dennis Leventriev. He's one of their boys. You know, so I think Petr Yan's got this one. But I also think that Sterling was surprised, and during their first fight, of course, he got surprised by that illegal knee. But I think that Sterling will have made some adjustments and come into this fight stronger and aware of Petr Yan's strengths. But I still think Petr Yan's going to take this. I think Petr Yan is just too much of an animal right now. I think he has his holes that I plan to expose, but I don't see those holes being exploited by Sterling because of Sterling's strengths, if that makes any sense.
So those guys, of course, are fighting each other. But if I'm Sean Shelby, I call you up right now and I say, who do you want in the top 15? What do you say?
Cool. I'm not in the business of calling people out, man. I mean, it's funny because I've actually seen this where people will ask or they'll challenge me or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, let's go outside and fight right now. And they're like, oh, no, 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 no. It's like, well, when you say you want to fight me, like, that's what I take it as. Like, let's go on the back and let's fight. So I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go. But usually people don't, they're like, oh, no, no, I want to go get paid. And I want to, okay, that's different. Say you want to compete against me. Competing and fighting is, even though we fight in a competition, in a competition sense, but I don't know. That's just the way my brain works. That's the way I process it. If you say you want to fight me, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, let's go out and back and let's fight. Ain't gonna be no refs. We're probably gonna be kicking each other in the nuts and shit. But that's what a fight is. But if you say, oh yeah, I think it'd be nice to compete against somebody, blah blah blah. It's a little getting paid. We have training camp. We have all this, and then we're still gonna punch each other in the face.
So if I would rephrase that and say compete against someone in the
if I wanted to compete against somebody, you know what? I think I know everybody's calling out the Sean O'Malley fight right now. I think Sean O'Malley's got different plans with his schedule right now. Marlon Moraes I think would be a pretty good fight. I mean, I think he's got. I remember I saw him at World Series of Fighting one time, thinking, man, he's got great low kicks. And this is right before he signed with the UFC, and then he knocked him out and knocked out Aljamain Sterling with that switch kick when he ran into a knee. I think that fight will actually be really good. I think Marlon, he's got great power. I think he's got great speed. I also think that I got good conditioning. I think I've got decent speed myself. I don't think I have as much power as Marlon, but I think that'd still be a great fight.
Yeah, I think he's at Tiger Muay Thai with Hamzat and Rafa Fiziev and Petr Yan right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It'd be a great fight. I mean, me and Tiger Muay Thai, I've had a few fights with those guys. Trent Girdham, Kanehara trained over at Tiger Muay Thai. Of course, Dennis Laventria for the first and second fight that I had. Me and Tiger Muay Thai, we have a history.
That would be cool, man. Well, whatever happens, we're going to be watching because you're the man. It's great to see you in the UFC. It's great to see you winning and great to catch up again.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.